I want to start today by telling you about 3 clients of mine, and I'm hoping that their stories are much like your stories. The stories I want to tell you today are about Carla, Terry, and Jack. Carla was a mother of 3, a single mother of 3. She was 39 years old. She had been married for 15 years and now found herself alone for 7 years. She had to work full time. She now had teenagers in the home, and life was just really hard for her. She told me this: I feel like I give and give and give to everyone, that there's just nothing left for me. Life was not happy for her. Life was not good for her. And Terry was similar. She was a young mother of 2 small children. She had been divorced for approximately 3 years, and she still could not understand why she was no longer with her husband. After 10 years of marriage, her husband announced that he was leaving her for another woman, leaving her with these 2 small children where now she had to work. And she says to me, life is not what I signed up for. This is not what I was meant to do. She's crushed. She's lonely. She's hurt. She feels rejected and alone. Jack is another story. He had been an accountant for 25 years for the same company, and then very recently he lost his job. And he doesn't know what he can do if he's not an accountant. He doesn't even know who he is because he says, I'm an accountant. What else can I do? Now, I'm telling you these stories not because I want you to focus on these 3 clients of mine. I want you to feel and understand and maybe relate. Are you like this? Is life not what you signed up for? Have things become really hard? Well, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told them, and that is you need to give yourself more credit. Remember in the last video we talked about learning that from the inside out, you already have what you need to be happy. You already have everything you need to be successful. And you just need to give yourself more credit. And when you give yourself more credit, you can start to feel that worth that comes from the inside out. And in order to make this point, I want to demonstrate something to you. I have something that I would love to give you. And if you were here, I would give it to you. And what it is a crisp, clean $100 bill. Now, you may wonder why I've chosen a $100 bill like this, but you can see that on the front of it, it's Ben Franklin. Now, Ben Franklin and I have something in common. Can you imagine what it is? We have the same haircut, but that's not the reason I chose $100. The reason I chose a $100 bill is because for many of us, including me, $100 is still a lot of money these days. In fact, this is a pretty crisp, clean, almost perfect $100 bill. And I would like to ask you, just based on what I'm showing you, how much is this worth? And I do this at most of my presentations, and everybody says, oh, it's worth $100. And I said, well, let's test this just a little bit further. If you were to take this $100 to the dollar store, how many things could you buy, not including taxes? Well, if you've guessed 100, you're absolutely right. You take this to the dollar store, you buy 100 items, not including tax, it is worth $100. And it's in pretty good condition. You can see there's just a minor folds in it, but other than that, this is a really good, almost perfect $100 bill. And I want you to remember that it's in that good of condition, because I'm going to put this away for a minute, and I'm going to take out another $100 bill. And you can see it's in pretty good condition as well, but I'm going to do something to this $100 bill. I'm going to take it like this, and I'm going to smash it up. I am going to crush this $100 bill, almost so it doesn't look like a $100 bill anymore. In fact, I am going to take this $100 bill, and I am going to spit on it. I'm going to blow my nose on it. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to say, you stupid $100 bill. I can't believe you did that. And I would want to throw it on the ground, kick it when it's down, criticize it. And how about this? I'm even going to say, I can't believe you did that to me. I can't believe you left me. How could you reject me that way? I had a great job. Why? How could you take that job away from me? This stupid, you stupid, silly $100 bill. I can't believe that you did that. Have I criticized and beat it up enough? I mean, think about that. That used to be a pretty nice $100 bill. And now when you compare it to this one, Look at that. Here's an almost perfect $100 bill, and here's one that's been beat up, put down, criticized, spit on. I even blew my nose on it. And now I'd like to ask you this. Which one is worth more? They're the same. You're right. They're both worth $100. In fact, if I were to get your address and mail you $100, would you really care which one you got? Probably not. If you were to take this one to the dollar store, how many things could you buy, not including tax? You could buy 100 items. They are worth the same. And yet, so often, we believe that we are worth less. In fact, let me ask you this. If you were to compare your life to these $100 bills, which one better represents your life? Is it this one, almost perfect? Nothing ever really happened to this? Or is your life more like this one, kind of beat up, torn up, spit, blew my nose on it, criticized, put down? I think that we would all agree that for most of us, our life is like this $100 bill. And yet I would like to say that I think that you're worth more because of the things that have happened to you. And yet so often in life, we look at those people who we think are perfect, and we think we're not worth as much. We think we're worth less. And I'm telling you, you're not. That even if all of these things that have happened to you, you are worth more. You're worth so much more than $100. And I'm just using this as an example. But I want you to know that you are worth more than $100. You are not worth less. You are worth so much more. Your self-worth becomes one of your most important assets. And so it's important, just like any other asset, to learn how to treat it well, how to protect it, how to preserve it, and how to affirm it. Today, we're talking about your self-worth so that you can learn to feel from the inside out that you are worthy of success, happiness, and everything that life has to offer. Let me introduce you to the self-worth pyramid. This becomes important because I want you to pay attention to the bottom of the pyramid, and that is where your self-worth is. Above that, you will find self-esteem and self-confidence. While they're all very important, let me describe what the difference is, because we could spend an hour debating what the difference between self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence is. But for me, the difference is simple. Self-esteem and self-confidence is about what you do, where self-worth is more about who you are. And when I talk about what you do, what I'm really referring to is, what do you do for a living? Who do you live with? Where do you live? It's about your rewards, your recognitions, your hobbies, your sports, everything that you do. It could be your body. It could be your weight. All of that is comprised in what you do. Who you are is something a little bit more internal. But don't get me wrong, self-esteem and self-confidence are really important. For example, whenever I do a live presentation, I want to make sure that I have a fresh haircut. Now, very few people in the audience would be able to tell that I have a fresh haircut because I don't want to have a single hair out of place. But yet it matters to me. It makes me feel more confident. Just like you, if you were to go to a job interview or maybe to meet your spouse's parents for the first time or go to an executive dinner, you'd want to dress your best because you feel better. You might even wear your best dress or your best suit because you feel more confident in those clothes. And that's really important. But it is situational. Self-esteem and self-confidence are situational. Just like you feel more confident in certain situations than others, that is the way that it's supposed to be. But it is situational. Self-esteem and self-confidence are more about what you do. Self-worth is more about who you are. Self-worth is your belief in yourself that determines what you can and you can't do. It's that value that you place on yourself when you go into a new situation, when you feel like life is not giving you all that it should. It is your self-worth that helps you feel that you are worthy of success. So just like with the $100 bills, you're not worthless. You are worth so much more. So over this next week, here is your assignment. I'd like you to think about what you do and who you are, and try to draw a differentiation or try to draw a distinction between what you do and who you are. For example, maybe something tragic has happened to you. You should not define yourself by what has happened to you, because you are so much more. So over this next week, pay attention to what you do and do not define yourself by what you do, because you are so much more. In the next video, we're going to talk about a formula that will help you discover and learn your self-worth and how to let it grow from within.